first you born, then you live and die. So if tomorrow never comes, it comes at no surprise. Looking death into his eyes, yeah, I witness guys start to recognize, analyze their own demise. Some people wasting time, walking around hypnotized, blinded by success, impressed but can't identify what's real with fake because the money just intensify. Jealousy plus the hate that equals genocide. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. We're back, another episode of Life on Diagonal. As usual, I am your host, EB. I can't give my son any production credit because he isn't here. And I'm not gonna lie, it was normally when I was doing my episodes, I would set up everything myself. But the last time my son helped me, it was real easy. So, you know, I'm gonna try to record more when he's available. Right now he's in school and he's probably playing with his friends, playing video games, stuff kids do. So, he can't get no credit for this one, but I'll give him credit next time he helped me. As always, I am also the co-host of Thought Ops, so check out Thought Ops on YouTube. And I am the owner of Healing Hyenas Clothing. This is one of my shirts I designed called Remove the Judases. As you can see, this is Jesus and this is the Judas. Sometimes we had them Judas in our circle, people that is around and can't trust them. So we have to remove them. So you gotta be careful who you around and who you invite into your circle. You gotta remove those Judas snakes, everything. There's a lot of them out here. So, I think that's everything I need to get out the way. Hope everybody is doing good, enjoying life, working through whatever they're dealing with. We all have issues, we all have problems, and all have a lot of things going on. If I can't say I'm glad, last night I went to my son's orchestra concert. My son is playing the trumpet, so that's really interesting. Him playing the instrument. Last year he played the violin last year, but he wanted to switch to the trumpet. So we'll see where that takes him. How I go. I might have him watch Mo Better Blue and when he get a little bit older, so he can see some type of trumpet playing in a movie or something. Let him listen to some jazz players and stuff like that. But so today we are going to talk about frustration and being frustrated. And being frustrated when you talk to others, it has a negative connotation sometimes. We live in a day and age of social media where we see things and everything is, kind of streamlined and everything is so perfect. You don't see what goes on behind the scenes, the trials and tribulations. Is there tribulations without trials? Can you separate them too, or what? But you don't see, the tears, um, the wasted energy sometimes that people put into things, and getting to that point where you want to quit. Like I said, I design T-shirts, and luckily I am able to do I do everything on my own when it comes to T-shirts. Run the website, all the design work. I do everything except print the T-shirts because I have to take something off my plate. So, but I get frustrated. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't want to sound like a hater because I feel like there's enough money for everybody out there. We all could get a piece of the pie. But I look at certain shirt designs, and I'm like, I know, I know my designs are, if not better, at least comparable to what people buy. And a lot of times people buy stuff because of the price, because it's expensive and it's designer, and it's like, hey, look at me. I spent this amount of money on this T-shirt or this hoodie. And I guess I have to give credit to those designers because they're established. I'm not established. Local. I do want to give a shout out to those that support me
Um, to the ones that that do rock my t-shirts, buy my t-shirts. Um, but I can't lie, I get frustrated a lot. Um, Not only that, with podcasting, even starting my podcasting, my own podcast back up. I get frustrated with that. But a lot of my frustration, I have a lot of frustrations. So, but we just gonna stick to a few. But a lot of frustration comes with my t-shirts, and I have just to kind of go back to like what I was saying, when I do everything on my own, it's kind of good because I don't have to pay others in order to do this and that. When it comes to designing, running a website, I do pay for the website monthly, so I do lose out on money with that if I don't sell anything. And I'm not gonna lie, there have been months, consecutive months, where I don't sell anything, and I'm just paying for the website monthly. I do wear my own stuff, which I do that to promote. I do give free T-shirts out from time to time so people can promote. I have given free T-shirts out and try to, do different initiatives, especially in my home city of Akron, Ohio. And I was trying to do an initiative. It was like the Akron initiative because I want to collaborate more with people from Akron, and I did try to do that. Gave out some T-shirts. People didn't wear them and didn't do as I asked. I do want to give a shout out to Slim Dog of Slim Dog Productions. He's from Akron, lives in Colorado Springs. I've never met this guy in the physical. We talked a few times. We got hooked up years back by my cousin that lived in Colorado Springs. Is in the service, but it meant a lot to me that he wore one of my Akron T-shirts. He had a feature in oh man, is it Spin magazine? It's the music magazine. It's Spin. Let me look it up. As always, I have my trusty laptop because, like I told y'all last episode, I'm not savvy. Plus, this give me a chance to look things up because I'm using my phone to record. Yeah, with Spin Magazine. So he had like we can call it editorial or a feature in Spin Magazine because he's a producer, does music excellent. Back in the day when I used to rap, I did a couple tracks with him. Um, my rap name was Certified, Sirtafyde. So you can look that up. I have songs on Apple Music. So some of the songs are good to me. Some of the songs are dated because it was around 2010, 2012. Probably recorded around like 2006, 2008 with my homeboy Wes. Shout out Wes. Shout out my homie Big Face. May continue to rest in peace. He was my producer. Big Face Music. He done. He had. He done. Excuse my language. He did a lot of tracks with a lot of local people in Akron. If you ever heard of Chino Nino and Pacino, he did a lot of music with them. Some other artists from the Bay Area. So may he continue to rest in peace. One of the first people that really, buckled down and worked with me and believed in my talents. I've designed T-shirts. I've done music, recorded albums. Did if you do look up my music, I do have an album with me and Wes called Safe. I did all the beats on there. So I used to do beats, did music, podcast, and acting. I have did a couple scenes for projects on Tubi. I have something else coming up I'm acting in as well. I will be playing a police detective. So I have that coming up. So I have put my hands in a lot of stuff. And that also caused frustration because you think at times when you do a lot of stuff and meet a lot of people, especially at events, podcasts, and doing this and that, you think that, at least something will jump off, but that's not how life is, and that is not how life works. So with everything I do, I get frustrated because I feel like I'm a good person. I try to support everybody as much as I can. And I learned that um, as you're going through this process, the people that you expect to support you are not the ones who will support you. I have friends, I have family members who won't even share a post, um, won't even like a post. Uh, I see them wearing the most basic t-shirts, the most basic thing, and I'm like, I know my, but I'm not about to beg anybody. I guess maybe that's one of the reasons, maybe why I'm not real successful because I am one of them type of people that believe in free will. You should live life how you want to, spend your money how you want to, spend your money on what you want to. Um, and I'm not gonna sit up there and ask you like, oh, you wear this because I've heard people say this, and I heard people, you know, discuss this with other people like, oh, you spend this money on this, that, and the third, and on this person's clothes. Why don't you buy my clothes? I'm not that type of person to do that because I don't want to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do because I know I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me. So maybe that's why I'm not successful because I mean, when it comes to hard work and hustling like that and getting money and everything, I have no problem with that. But I guess being a salesperson and marketing and everything, I'm not as savvy as some people. So, with that being said, so let's see, frustration. We're gonna go into the definition of frustration. So, frustration is the emotional response that occurs when effort, desire, or expectation is blocked, delayed, or unmet, especially when you care deeply and are trying. So, I guess everything that I explain, that causes frustration. Some people look at they don't realize, especially if you're running a business or if you're creating something, especially if you're creative, they don't see the everything, all the work that goes into it, the money that's spent, um not even breaking even. uh, and and as you being that person, you see other people like, man, how's it, I know, like I said, I know my stuff is either comparable to theirs or even better. So how is this person doing it, and how is that person doing it? And you can see somebody put out the most simplest thing and everybody flock to it. And it gets frustrating at times. So, and a lot of people don't want to be around that. They don't want to hear. They hear. They look at being frustrated as complaining. And I feel like, especially on my channel, if you want to get in the comments, I feel like if you're, hey, I welcome being frustrated. I think there should be a community and people to talk to hear your frustration. When you're frustrated, especially when it's something that you care about, something that you're passionate about, you put time in. Being frustrated doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean that you can't handle yourself. Um, you know, Nowadays society, pushes this positivity theme, but it really give us space for being honest and having these honest conversations. And I feel like when you're frustrated and people don't know the effort and the work and everything you do, it sounds like complaining to them, and they don't want to hear anybody complain. I feel like if you do have a good support system, if you have people that you could talk to, that you could bounce around ideas with, I feel like that is exceptional and that is excellent because a lot of people um do not feel like that. So you know, frustration really shows up as, um, unmet expectations. When you do things, I know when I do things, I know for example, when I design a t-shirt, I'm like, oh, this design is excellent. This is about to blow them out the water. and it's crickets. And so I get in the process of, instead of me, you know, just sticking to that. It's like, okay, that didn't hit. So I got to try something else. I got to do something else. And so I'm always in this mode of I have to one up this, I have to one up that. And then it gets to the point where I'm questioning myself. Am I good enough? Is my designing good enough? I start getting in my head. I start just kind of like pressuring myself because like doing music, not only do me doing music, but I write poetry. I published a poetry book. Um, I think it's still on Amazon. Angels, Demons, Aimlessly Dreaming. And even with writing, you get this block. And being a creative, I think you get a block. And you always hear about writer's block, but I think you could get a block in anything when you're a creative. You could be a writer's block, be a design block. Because I know I go through times where I get a block, and I look at things and I look at other T-shirts trying to get some type of inspiration, not copying, just some inspiration. I try to see what people are wearing, what's the trend, um, what's really popular. Um, I know graphic tees are real big. I like to be with me. I like to be more creative and use my own designs. I know people wear like, and a lot of it has to do with copyright infringement, stuff like that. I see people taking pictures of sports athletes and entertainers, and for example, and doing their thing. And but I read up on it, and I'm not trying to get sued by nobody. So even though I do have some dope ideas when it comes to that type of thing, but I try to use um my my own designs. So, and then it's like when you're going through this, dealing with this, being and you're frustrated, society has taught us, instead of us speaking out and saying, "Hey, I'm frustrated about it." No, societies teaches, "Oh, be grateful. Others have it worse," or "Don't be negative." That's that's a, one of my many pet peeves that I have is when you're dealing with something, you have a problem, and you you feel comfortable enough to talk to somebody about it. And the first thing they say is like, "Well, others have it worse." Well, yeah, others have it better. You know, glass half empty, glass half full. And I feel like if that's your response, you shouldn't even respond. I think sometimes listening to people talk about their problems, sometimes it doesn't even warrant a response. They just maybe want you just to listen to them and understand where they are coming from, and maybe you sitting back thinking and try to connect with them on times where you felt frustrated, and maybe giving some different advice other than well, others have it worse, because gratitude, it doesn't cancel your pain at that moment. Someone else's struggle or what they're going through doesn't erase yours, and it doesn't make yours less than theirs. So suppressing frustration, it doesn't make it disappear. I feel like whenever you're frustrated going through something and people say that, I think it makes it, to me, it makes it work, because when you store that frustration, it leaks out as anger, and like being angry, and people don't understand me, and people don't understand where I'm coming from, burning yourself out, stressing, and trying to outdo yourself in this, and like trying to find different ways, and losing sleep, losing eat. You start, distancing yourself from people, and not wanting to be around people, not wanting to be, just feeling like you don't want to run into that negative energy that people have, and even snapping at people, losing control of your emotions. So, that's why when you're in that frustrated place and you feel that frustration, you have to find what works for you. I can't sit up here and give you, um, you know, uh, something that's just, I'm trying to think, something that is just, universal for everybody. Every individual person is different. And, I do a lot of research and looking things up. And I feel like, knowledge really helps. Trying just to read up and see what others have done and if what others have done could work for you. So it's just a good filling out process. Let's see. Let's see. Healthy frustration versus unhealthy frustration. So, do you think that there is healthy frustration and unhealthy um, frustration? So, like healthy frustration is being acknowledged, frustration is processed, frustration uses information versus the unhealthy frustration, which is like being ignored, being shunned. Um, you know, uh, People just exploding. I feel like frustration becomes dangerous. Did I say dangerous? I don't want to use the word. Dangerous is like, I think dangerous is a little too much. I just feel like frustration just becomes overwhelming when it's silence. Some learning, as I'm learning, dealing with frustration, that frustration is okay, and it is telling you something, that whatever you're doing is not working, and sometimes something needs to be changed. Um, Maybe your expectations need to be adjusted properly. Um, just I was talking to somebody today about my t-shirts, and they were giving me some advice about marketing and focal points and focusing on your why am I so at loss over your market, like who you're trying to market to. And me, when it comes to my t-shirt, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm trying to market to everybody, because I feel like a lot of people, no matter their ages, wear graphic t-shirts. But then, I do graphic t-shirts, and then I make gym shirts and um with gym apparel t-shirts, and I try to do other things that are creative. And then this person like, well, maybe you should focus on um gym apparel right now for people that go to the gym and work out. You go to the gym, so why don't you focus on gym apparel? So talking to that person, and hearing that, you know my expectations were for my t-shirts to be for everybody and to reach everybody. But now hearing that is just like, well, maybe I need to adjust my expectations, and my right now, as I'm continuously doing this. I can't say I'm starting off, because I started in 2020 and it's 2026. So I need to adjust my expectations. Maybe right now my t-shirts aren't for everybody. Maybe I need to find a market like gym apparel, and you know concentrate on that, and then bring in, once that start hitting, bring in other things. So that was a good idea. So I'm trying to find productive ways to process my frustration whenever I get in that mode and that slump. And I use my frustration and my other everything else I'm dealing with. I use that as fuel and motivation when I'm at the gym. Um, I have a trainer. I may start putting up some of my training videos on my YouTube channel. I've been putting them on my social media. I may start doing that. Um, so just using that frustration as fuel when I'm in the gym. Try to calm myself and come to even planes before even reacting and realize what's in my control and what's out of my control and try as much as I can to focus on what's in my control. Um, when does your frustration turns into growth? I feel like your frustration turns into growth when you come to a point and you're mature enough to realize, okay, this isn't working, this direction isn't working, me listening to other people and not being stubborn, because whenever you're doing something and you're being a creative, you have this vision, you have this is my vision, this is what I see, this is what I foresee, and people giving you input, we can't take offense to that. I try to listen as much as I can, and I'm not saying offense like, oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. It's more offense like, well, my t-shirts are good, my designs are good, but my t-shirts and my design may be good, but that's to me, that's maybe not what other people uh, are wearing. And like I'm a designer. I like designs. I like pictures and stuff like that. Okay, y'all, I'm back. My phone cut off because my alarm went off, and I'm just gonna give you a little backstory about my alarm. So every day at 4:35, probably should have cut it off because I didn't think my phone was gonna cut off because my alarm went off. But every day at 4:35 p.m., I have alarm set. That is the time that my mom passed on July 12th. So July 12th of 2024. So 4:35 p.m. I have an alarm set, and it's just, I mean, I think about my mom all the time, but it's just like a tribute to my mom. So if you see me out somewhere and you hear my alarm go off at 4:35 p.m., a lot of times I'm at the gym. I always look up, tell my mom I love her, and keep it moving. So, but she interrupted my show today, so I will be talking to her about that later because I was talking about something important. But back to what I was saying. um, so like I was saying, I like t-shirts with designs, and I do t-shirts with words, but I feel so I price my t-shirts between $28, $30, hoodies $42, and I feel like if you're going to spend that much money, I want you to get the most bang for your buck, not just words. But um so I'm learning that maybe I should start incorporating more um t-shirts and hoodies with words, because people like statements, people like to you know let your t-shirt do the talking. That's one of my taglines that I started this year. Let the t-shirt do the talking. Instead of you doing the talking, let your t-shirt do the talking. Be it a picture, be it a statement, be a word. So that's what I am going to be incorporating. This is crazy that my mom interrupted my podcast episode when I was on my closing. So guess she was telling me to hurry up. So closing this out, I just want to let everybody know it's okay to be frustrated. So right, to have frustrations, to be down, but we have to learn that our frustration and how we are in that moment, it doesn't define us as a person. Um, our shortcomings doesn't define us as individuals, and we need to sometimes change direction, change course, change our focus, and continue to try. And through that frustration, we also need to learn that sometimes we need to stop. You always hear those things like, well, keep going, keep going, keep going. And like I was having a discussion with somebody about my t-shirt business the other day, and I was like, I really, really want to stop. And the only reason why I haven't stopped is because I do everything myself. So it's really not costly. Like I said, I just pay for the monthly. Um, I just pay monthly for the website. So the only thing it's really costing me is time. And I understand time is valuable, but I could just look at it as a hobby as well too. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't stopped. But if I would say that I was paying for designs and I was paying, um, you know, for like t-shirts and paying for it to be printed and I wasn't making any money off, I would have quit because I feel like 6 years is enough to realize like, hey, this isn't working out. I need to do something else. And I was telling them like, I can understand, they was telling me like, well, don't quit. And I was like, well, I could understand if I just started in the 6 months in, I'm like, well, I'm quitting, but I'm like 6 years, that's getting close to 10 years and it's not, paying off how, I think it should be paying off. So I'm going to try some new things, talk to a few people, um, try some ideas I have. So I'm gonna try that out, and I'm gonna give myself it's February now. Give myself to June, and I'm gonna reevaluate things and see if I'm gonna keep going. And if not, if I do keep going and it's not panning out by the end of this year, I may give it up. I may, and that's the frustration. So, when you're frustrated, please do not think that, you're broken and you're insignificant. I know we have those feelings at the time. Hey, we're human beings, it's part of life. That's what we do. But we have to, learn to bounce back and, if that's not working, try something else. See if that work out for you. That's one thing I've always done, and I guess I could pride myself on is I've always tried to do things, and not even just for the money aspect. There's things that I've tried that I never thought I would do just because to see if I just to see. Oh my god, just to see if I could do it. Like acting, I never really thought I could act or try to act or want to be an actor, but I had these opportunities and people like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You podcast, you in front of the camera. So, hey, why not? Try it out, see if I could do it. And, you never know what might happen. So I'd like to thank y'all for another episode of Life on Diagonal. I promise that I am going to continue to keep it going. Like I said last episode, it was getting draining because like doing episodes and my computer running slow, and it's like, man, I'm tired of sitting here and edit. Now I have a laptop, so I can take my laptop with me, edit portions, and do this and do that, and move a lot faster. So, like, comment, share, subscribe, like they always say. If there's anything I can do better, or if you have any ideas, you want to discuss anything, just leave them in the comments. I have no problem talking back. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. Peace.
Think about it. First you born, then you live and die. So if tomorrow never comes, it comes at no surprise. Looking death into his eyes, yeah, I witness guys start to recognize, analyze their own demise. Some people wasting time, walking around hypnotized, blinded by success, impressed but can't identify.